All right, welcome back to another Algebra 1 state test review lesson. Today we're talking about standard A.SSE.3. Let's hop right in. Question 1 from the Ohio Practice OST. A function is shown f of x equals 5 times x minus 2 squared plus 3. And I ask you, what is the minimum value of the function? So when you hear the minimum value, what do you think of when you hear minimum? When you think like minimum wage, when you think of a minimum amount, okay? It's the smallest possible number. So we're going to just go right into putting this into Desmos, right out the gate. F of x equals 5x minus 2 squared plus 3. And that gives us this lovely parabola. And it says, which of these is the minimum value of the function? It marks the minimum for you right here. When you talk about max and min, you're talking about y values. It is the lowest value of the function. So the minimum is at 3. The minimum is right here at 3. Okay. Next question. Which correctly factored form of the function f of x equals 36x squared plus 15x minus 6 can be used to identify the zeros? Okay, so let's talk about what this question is asking. Okay, which of these can be used to identify the zeros? Identifying the zeros is irrelevant. Why? Because it doesn't ask you to say what the zeros are. What is this question asking? Which is equivalent? Okay, which we know how to solve which of these is equivalent by this point. We take it, we put it in the Desmos. F of x equals 36x squared plus 15x minus 6. And then we put in each choice one at a time to see which one overlays it perfectly. F of x equals 4x minus 1 times 3x plus 2. Does it overlay it perfectly? No, not that choice. B, f of x equals 12x minus 2 times 3x plus 3. Does that overlay it perfectly? No. Get rid of it. Choice C, f of x equals 3 times 4x minus 1 times 3x plus 2. That seems to do a pretty darn good job of overlaying it. Let's just zoom in a little bit to make sure it's exact. It's probably that. See how perfectly it overlays it? We'll put in the last choice just to really be sure. D, 3 times 12x minus 2 and 3x plus 3 does not overlap it at all. So, because it overlapped perfectly, our answer is choice C. Question 2. An expression is given, x squared plus zx minus 12. The expression can be written as x plus q times x plus r, where q, r, and z are integers. What are possible integer values of q, r, and z? So one thing we have to talk about is the definition of the word integers. Okay, integers mean they can't have a decimal. It has to be a whole number. Okay, so let's talk about the intended way to solve this problem. When you talk about factoring, okay, because that's what you're doing, you're factoring stuff out. In a trinomial like this, you need numbers that would add to b and multiply to c. Okay? And I guess I should have led that by saying that this trinomial is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay? You need numbers that add to b and multiply to c. So, our c is given to us. Our c is given to us as negative 12. Okay? So, we need integers that can add to b and multiply to negative 12. B is not given to us. So all we have to realistically do is just pick two things that multiply negative 12. What's two things that multiply negative 12? Well, there's negative 4 and 3. There's negative 2 and 6. Right? There's negative 1 and 12. And obviously you can put the negative in front of the other. Negative 4 plus 3 is negative 1. We're going to put our multiply and plus here. Negative 2 times 6, negative 2 plus 6 would be positive 4. And negative 1 plus 12 would be 11. Okay? So whichever one of these you pick, you just have to make sure you use both columns. Okay? So if I want to go the negative 4 times 3 route, let's say I want to pick this line right here. Excuse me. Then I know that my two factors, my Q and my R, will be negative 4 and 3. And my Z is whatever the sum of those two are, which is negative 1. I could do the same thing with the other ones, negative 2 and 6, where the sum is 4, and negative 1 and 12, where the sum is 11. If they give you a question like this, just pick two things that multiply to the last number, keeping in mind if it's negative, you have to include that negative, multiply to the last number, and then the Z would just be whatever those two factors add up to. Okay. The function f of x equals x squared plus 2x minus 24 is equivalent to the function f of x equals x plus b, with the values of a and b. All right. So, again, just like last time, we could do this the manual way. This is, again, another trinomial in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c, where you have to find what adds to b and multiplies to c. Okay? So, your c is negative 24, so it has to multiply negative 24 and add to 2. So let's think about that. Okay, what are our factors? Well, our factors are 24. We have 1 times negative 24. That would make negative 23. That doesn't help. We have 2 times negative 12. 2 times negative 12 is negative 24, but 2 plus negative 12 would be negative 10. Doesn't help. 3 times negative 8. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. 3 minus 8, though, however, is negative 5. 4 times negative 6. 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. Well, hold on, that's close. Right? It's just this is positive 2. So what if we did negative 4 times 6? Negative 4 times 6 is still negative 24, but negative 4 plus 6 is positive 2. Ding, ding, ding. You found a winner. Okay? So this would be negative 4 and 6. Negative 4 and 6. However, you can use Desmos. If you put in the equation x squared plus 2x minus 24, you will note that it marks 2 points for you. Now, here's the very key thing with this, okay? Whatever points it marks for you, you must flop the sign. You must flip the sign, okay? Because what this is doing is it's looking for what's called the zeros of the functions. And what that is that if I took my factored form, which we found in this answer to be x minus 4, x plus 6, and I set it equal to 0, and I wanted to find out when y equals 0, or when this equation equals 0, I would split this down the middle. I would make x minus 4 equals 0 and x plus 6 equals 0. And then I would add 4 to both sides and get x equals 4. And I would subtract 6 from both sides and get x equals negative 6. And I would know that this equation equals 0 when x equals 4 and x equals negative 6. That's what this graph is showing you. But the original factored stuff had the signs flipped. So if you're going to use Desmos for this question, you must flip the signs. Must. And if you get to the test and you're not 100% sure if you did it right, then when you get to your answer, you can essentially resolve it using FOIL. Okay? Or if you were to put in your factored equation of x, if you did x plus 4, x minus 6, you'll see that those don't match. And you would go, oh wow, that's not the same. But if you do x minus 4, x plus 6, that matches. But anyway, that was a quick standard. That's going to do it for this standard. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. I'm always here to help. And good luck on your test.